All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another video expert interview for the nonprofit MAR community. Today, I have Jason Shim here to talk about analytics. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
I've invited Jason here because he is somewhat of an expert about analytics. Jason is the digital media manager for Pathways to Education Canada, and he is a really passionate guy when it comes to talking about the intersection of technology and nonprofits. And because he knows so much about analytics, I asked him to come answer a few questions to help me and help us demystify the topic. So thanks for being here, Jason.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure. Let's just dive right in. Jason, can we start with the basics? So when speaking to the totally uninitiated, can you please tell us what are Google Analytics?
So Google Analytics is a free and powerful set of tools that's offered by Google to help track activity on your website. And pretty much that, in a nutshell, is what it is. And specifically, the kind of things that you can track using Google Analytics includes, things like demographics of the people who are visiting your site, where they're living, or rather where they're accessing your website from, the behavior that they're engaging on your site, and the technology that they're using. Some recent changes to the Google Analytics system have sort of revealed even more valuable information that you can actually tell the age demographics of the people visiting your page as well, and that's drawn from stuff like the Google profiles, as well as predictions about what their interest may be. So you could literally just see a list of people visiting your site are interested in TV shows or certain sports or certain aspects of like nonprofits, things like that. So very powerful set of tools, and added perk is that it's free.
That's really amazing. I didn't know about that. So you've alluded to this a little bit with what you've already mentioned, but in your view, how can analytics and the data that we glean help us as nonprofit marketers to make better decisions?
Well, I think that, we get a ton of data from our website, and this stuff is being collected, and the question is whether or not you're making good use of it and whether or not you're looking at it. So with this information, you can actually tell what people are looking at on your page and how they're engaging, and it helps you determine if what you're doing is actually effective. So I have an issue with things like open rates for emails, because they're like what I call vanity metrics, that they're stats that sound great and you can talk about them, but at the end of the day, what does it actually mean for some of the campaigns you're running? So take, for example, if you're running a newsletter campaign and you properly integrate tagging on your newsletters to pass on the information through Google Analytics, you're not looking at open rates anymore. You can tell how many people are clicking on the link to go to your website, what do they do after they arrive on your website, and do they do stuff like sign up for other things? Do they donate as a result of that e-newsletter? And now you can have deeper insight about what it is that your visitors are doing, and you can say with certainty that a person who read this e-newsletter, clicked on this link, spent X amount of time on this page, and then made a donation. And when you have all that information and you can properly track what people do before they for example, make a donation, then that means you can improve upon that process and make it actually a better experience. So it's a win-win situation. Like hopefully you can design more effective newsletters, but it also helps you identify what's working for people and further improve upon that experience for your visitors.
That's really amazing. So there's a really rich source of information there for if you know how to use the interface and you know how to dig into analytics. What about if you have never done it and you're just getting started? Do you have any advice on how to get oriented or how to get started using your analytics?
Mm-hmm. I would say just jump straight into it. I think that when you're first reading about it, it can be very daunting, and sometimes the best way to get immersed in it is just hop into it, put the code on your website, or get your IT person to help you with it, and then you'll start gathering the analytics, and then slowly you'll start to understand all the stuff that is being presented. generally, I would say read as much as possible. There's a ton of stuff out there, but my first couple of resources I would recommend is going to Google themselves. So I'll provide the link so you can share in your blog as well, but google.ca/analytics/learn. I mean, that's all the resources that Google has compiled to help people get up to speed with analytics. And specifically, the Google for Nonprofit site also has a step-by-step guide that is pretty much a breakdown of the guide that I mentioned earlier, but geared specifically for nonprofits and all the basic elements. But start off small and just do basic things like, how many visitors are visiting your site, what time of day are they visiting, and then over time, you can take on more advanced kind of features like, how many people are converting, converting meaning like accomplishing certain goals, like signing up for your newsletter or making a donation, and then other things like custom reports, which you have more advanced kind of reporting where it says it can tell you what time of day and what day of the week are people primarily visiting your site and accomplishing certain actions and things like that. So there's a wide spectrum of usage for analytics, and you don't have to be an expert going into it. Just start off. And I feel like I'm constantly learning. So every time that Google releases a new feature, I may be an expert now, but then I'm just like everyone else when they release a new feature because I'm learning how to use it all over again. So I hope that does provide some hope for people who are just entering. That sometimes when people are just getting into it, I let them know that I'm right there beside them learning, and I don't know any more than they do. It's just whatever I can glean online.
So you're as frustrated as the rest of us when the more you learn, the more you have to learn.
Oh yeah.
But it sounds like your advice is to just sort of have fun with it at first, and just to have a look at what you can access is a good first step.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also add that don't limit yourself to nonprofit resources when it comes to analytics specifically. Learn as much as you can from all types of different industries. Specifically, I would say any kind of websites or resources that focus on online marketing and SEO, because there's a direct tie-in around SEO, search engine optimization and search engine marketing, or SEM, and analytics. So inbound.org is sort of like a Reddit-style aggregator around SEO and SEM. So I try to balance out my reading, by reading all these kind of, different industry things around analytics, but also I do try to stay in the loop about specifically what nonprofits are doing, but I don't limit myself specifically to that.
That's good advice. Okay, now I can't imagine anyone who doesn't want access to all of this wonderful information, but do you have anything to say to folks who are naysayers, maybe just because they don't feel like they have the time or understand whether they should invest time in learning this new system? Mm-hmm.
I can sympathize with not having enough time to do everything, because there's tons of things to do. You got your Facebook, Twitter, and if you're also managing other social media and things. But what I would respond with is that you can't manage what you can't measure, and if you actually want to improve the way that things are going, you need to establish a baseline. And analytics is one of the easiest ways that you can establish this is what's happening here, and I want to get us to here. But you can't do that unless you have the numbers to do it. Otherwise, you're just sort of making stuff up, and you just might be like, okay, I think more people are coming to our website, or more people are doing X, Y, Z. But I think that there definitely seems to be more of an interest and movement towards properly measuring and interpreting data. And Google Analytics is free, and I do understand it takes staff time to read and interpret it. But it's well worth the investment. And even from a personal investment perspective, like, this is a skill that's very, very useful, not just in the nonprofit sector, but as any web-facing role that you go to. Like, it's I'm hard pressed to find a job description that doesn't have analytics in there. That if you're doing anything with the web.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I can't argue with you. It's just a matter of rolling up our sleeves and learning.
Yeah.
So I think that's very helpful. It's a great overview. Do you have any additional resources? You've mentioned some really excellent resources, and we'll include them in the blog post. Mm-hmm. Anything else, and any suggestions about where folks can go for more information?
Yeah, so in addition to the Google links that I mentioned, there's a gentleman, Avinash Kaushik, He writes a lot of fantastic stuff, and he self-identifies as a digital marketing evangelist, and he does a really great job at it. So I'll provide a link to his blog as well, and he does a lot of stuff around training, around analytics, but also some really cutting-edge, innovative stuff around the advanced analytics that you can do. If I can, insert a small plug as well, I will be presenting at the Do Good Data Conference in Chicago later this year, so I'll provide a link to that as well if you are in the area, or if you are interested in data analytics or data science. It's going to be a gathering of people. So this group has been around for just about a year now, and it seems like a great community of everyone who's specifically interested in data analytics and how it can benefit nonprofits. And so I'll be speaking specifically about Google Analytics while I'm there.
Perfect. Well, I hope you get a good turnout, and it's good to know that you're sharing your expertise with other communities.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today, and I think what you're providing will allow people to dig deeper and learn more, and I hope that they feel inspired to do so. So I just want to thank you so much, Jason, for sharing your insights and your tips and your resources, and it's been great speaking with you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye.